For the last few years, the European Union has been talking about their Digital Services Act and also how they are going to fundamentally secure the internet by requiring everyone to digitally verify their age. They spent all sorts of time and also taxpayer money building a highly anticipated official government age verification app. And they promised the public that it was a fortress of privacy. They hyped it up as the gold standard for digital identity, and well, they finally launched it this week, and the entire thing fell apart in literally less than 48 hours. Like, I'm not talking about some crazy, like, nation state, like, cyber attack involving, like, millions of dollars in, like, dark web exploits. Like, I'm just talking about, like, intern level coding mistakes that are genuinely hard to believe made it even past, like, a single quality assurance test. The very people who want to legally mandate that you scan your physical passport and also your face to use the internet cannot even figure out how to securely save a basic password on a smartphone. Today, I want to talk about the facts of how a single guy broke the EU's flagship privacy app in literally 2 minutes, why their passport scanner essentially runs on the honor system, and how the private companies helping them are currently getting hit with massive $1 million fines for secretly hoarding your selfies. So to really grasp how embarrassing the situation actually is, we have to talk about exactly how the app was bypassed. When you set up this new government app, you obviously scan your passport, you scan your face, and then the app asks you to create a secure PIN code to lock everything down. In modern software development, any sort of sensitive authentication data like a PIN is supposed to be cryptographically locked inside a secure enclave on your phone. But the developers who built this EU app apparently skipped that day of coding bootcamp because a security researcher named Paul Moore decided to poke around the app right after it launched, and he realized they were storing the encrypted PIN data in, get this, in a plain text unencrypted XML file called share_prefs. For the non-technical people watching, that is essentially the coding equivalent of writing your bank password on a sticky note and leaving it on your keyboard. He proved that anybody with basic access to the device could just download a free standard file explorer app, open that XML text file like a Word document, and simply delete the 2 lines of code that held the pin. The second you delete those lines and then restart the app, the system gets completely confused, forgets you even set a lock, and politely asks the attacker to create a brand new PIN. In under 2 minutes, with zero hacking tools, the entire biometric security checkpoint is bypassed. They tried to build a digital fortress, but they accidentally left the gates wide open and left the keys under the doormat. But honestly, the plain text pin vulnerability isn't even the funniest part of this entire situation. Let's talk about the core feature of the app, the NFC passport scanner. The entire selling point of these digital ID wallets is that they are cryptographically secure. The app tells you to tap your physical government issued passport against the back of your phone so it can read the NFC chip inside. You would logically assume that the app takes that chip data and securely verifies it against a government server to make sure the password is real, right? But that's wrong. Because security analysts tore apart the trust chain this week and realized the app literally cannot mathematically verify that a real password was ever actually scanned. The architecture of the system basically relies entirely on the local device to do the checking. It doesn't securely ping the issuer to authenticate the cryptographic signature. It just asks your phone, hey, did you check the passport? And trusts whatever the phone says. This means that literally anyone who wants to spoof the system can literally just feed the app a fake NFC payload, injecting a completely fabricated digital passport into the system, and the EU app will just nod its head and accept it as a verified human. The government is spending millions to force citizens into a mandatory digital ID system that essentially operates on the honor system. It completely defeats the entire purpose of having a verification app if the app itself cannot actually verify anything. Now, whenever the government gets caught being completely incompetent at basic software development, the immediate argument is always that we should just outsource this stuff to the private tech sector. The corporate bros who surely keep all our data safe, right? Well, let's just take a look at the facts. So Yoti is currently one of the biggest digital ID and age verification companies on the planet. Massive platforms use them all the time. Like Yoti's entire public relations strategy is built on telling users that the second your face is scanned and verified, the data is permanently deleted. They pinky promise that they don't keep your biometric data. Well, the Spanish data protection regulator, the AEPD, just officially investigated them, and turns out, you might be shocked, but they were lying. So last month, the regulators slapped Yoti with a massive fine of nearly $1 million because Yoti was caught illegally mishandling and hoarding user biometric data. The regulators proved that Yoti was keeping video recordings of users' faces, which they use for quote-unquote liveness detection, way longer than the mandatory retention periods allowed. They were also hit for having invalid consent flows. So the private sector isn't some magical, secure alternative to the government. The government leaves your PIN in a text file, and the private companies just quietly hoard your face on their servers until regulators physically force them to stop and fine them like $1 million. So the reality we are watching right now is that the grand utopian vision of a centralized, perfectly secure digital ID ecosystem is just a fantasy. Like, we don't need to exaggerate the threat or panic about some crazy dystopian sci-fi future, because the actual present is just broken. Like, the European Union tried to roll out a flagship identity app, and it was bypassed just by a guy deleting 2 lines of text in a file explorer. The NFC trust chain is so fundamentally flawed that you can easily spoof it. And also, the massive private companies that are actually tasked with handling the sensitive data are actively getting fined for keeping your facial scans in their back pockets. Like, this whole situation just perfectly validates the baseline privacy mindset. Like, you simply cannot trust those centralized systems with your actual identity documents. Like, the people building the infrastructure are literally cutting corners. The people storing the data are getting fined, and also the politicians passing the laws, they just clearly have absolutely no idea how a smartphone actually works. Like, you don't need to be a crazy paranoid person to see that uploading your physical passport to these apps is just a terrible idea. Like, you will just need to read the news. Until governments and tech corporations can prove they know how to code past a basic level, the smartest thing you can possibly do is just keep your physical ID in your physical wallet and completely opt out of all this nonsense. So yeah, that's it for this video. This was honestly pretty funny to read. And yeah, I'll see you next time, and have a great day. And also leave a comment if you so choose.